We got a lot more PlayStation news here. PlayStation has been forcing developers to pay royalties to have their games be cross-platform. So if you don't know what cross-platform is when a PlayStation user could play with like an Xbox person or a Nintendo person. Like is this what what Epic has been trying to push really hard, and that's kind of what kind of the transition here. Because during the Epic Games versus Apple stuff, there's been a lot of things that have been coming about a bunch of other companies. So
Hmm.
Tim Sweeney, the Epic CEO, said in certain circumstances, Epic would have to pay additional revenue to Sony if somebody were primarily playing on PlayStation but paying on iPhone, then this might trigger compensation. So basically PlayStation's like the only ones really asking like for money for like cross-platform, like for other players to play cross-platform because Sony kind
Hmm.
of sucks. I mean we've seen this like throughout the past few months that Sony like really doesn't want to play with other consoles or just anyone really. It's not until recently we started seeing them like put like Horizon Zero Dawn on PC or they start to allow more cross-platform stuff for other consoles. But it seems like it's mostly like their hand not really getting forced, but more like they want more than what the other companies are getting, just because like Sony thinks they're like the top shit right now. You know what I mean? Because they kind of are, but
Hmm.
like it still comes off as a little like annoying. If I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, definitely. PlayStation are playing the card that, yeah, we are like the number one sort of console war winner right now. I mean, Xboxes are still selling out like crazy as fast as PlayStations are, but a lot more people want the PS5. And that's
Hmm.
understandable because they have a lot more exclusive, they have a lot more exciting games. They have goddamn Spider-Man for God's sakes, you know? So I feel like Sony knows what they're playing with, and them being very reluctant over the past couple of years to not be cross platform is very telling. And I'm not surprised that they were asking for some sort of revenue from Epic or other publishers to have the game be cross platform. But then again, it feels like because they're the only ones, it makes them look very scummy, which is, obviously not what you want to look like. And I feel like with games like Fortnite, Rocket League, Minecraft, having cross platform on these games, it helps because people play Fortnite on other platforms. People are still playing, Rocket League and Minecraft just as the same capacity as Fortnite with other friends on different platforms, which like back in the day, like when me and Damian were playing on like online consoles, oh shoot, you have a PS3, I have an Xbox. We can't really play games together. But now, kids these days, they're able to play with their friends across different consoles, which is awesome. Like that is very, very cool. And I wish that that was something that I had for my generation. But obviously, as gaming has evolved, this has become a much more sort of idea that people have come to accept, which is very nice because, back then it was like, oh, this console doesn't play nice with this console, but now it seems like people are being more nice to each other, which is good. But Sony being like, hey, we want money because like there's a potential, situation where like someone might buy, V-Bucks on this platform and then play on console for this platform. But then again, it's like if they're playing from iPhone to the PS4, which is like the example that they used, it's because they want to play it on their TV.
Right.
But then again, they're like, oh, like that's money that we could have gotten if they bought V-Bucks through the PlayStation instead of iPhone. But it might be easier to buy V-Bucks on the iPhone because of like Apple Pay and like Touch ID and everything like that. So, it just seems like that they're just nickel and diming this for like no real reason, especially since like, cross-platform is something that other people don't charge, Nintendo and Microsoft, like they don't do anything with that. They're just like, oh, if you want cross-platform, we'll allow it, sort of thing. And Sony's just being like, hey, we want money.
But that's basically what it boils down to. Is just like Sony just wants money, because this. Yeah, because to be honest, like this is all for the consumer, right? So obviously it's good for us, but for a lot of the companies, it doesn't really help them that much. Like it helps the developer of said games, so something like Rocket League or Fortnite. So Epic,
Hmm.
well, it's probably why Epic is pushing it so much because they're probably gonna make a bunch more money because the more people that can play Fortnite and have the ability to switch consoles and play with other consoles and stuff, like they're just gonna get more V-Buck money anyway. You know what I mean? So,
Hmm.
but Sony doesn't really see that benefit. So like, why should we do it? Which it makes sense in like a business standpoint, but it's still like just do it. You know what I mean? Like they probably lose like some money because like you said, like they probably aren't making, because I think the way it works is if you buy microtransactions in a certain store, like that company would get some of that money. I know that's how that works for Steam. Like Steam takes like some of the profit made from that company if they sold it on Steam. It's why a lot of companies were going to Epic because they had a less, like, they took less of a cut. Um, but yeah, PlayStation was just like, or I guess Sony was like, nah, we want that money. So, um, but hopefully this is just turning this around. Like, this is obviously something good for everyone, and Sony's just being butts about it. So,
Yeah, I feel like that they're just trying to sort of, recoup the cost for what they're losing when they make PS5s right now.
yeah,
And this is like their sort of way of doing it. But then again, like it's so like small and so fractional for them now, like it doesn't really make sense. And something like this, I feel like that there might be some people that might be like, oh, I just won't play on PlayStation anymore. But they'll likely come back because the games that they have are kind of like way too good to really pass up on. But then again, like some people are very stubborn and they'll be like, hey, this company did one bad thing, I'm not doing it anymore. And personally, I'm guilty of that to a certain extent for some companies that I won't really say on here, but it is what it is. It sort of gives us reason as to why PlayStation were the last ones to accept crossplay as a sort of thing these days.
hmm
All right, so next piece of news is another PlayStation article. So Sony warns that the short supply of the PS5 will continue into 2022. And I think that they should have kept this secret, honestly. I don't think that they should have, outright have said
yeah,
this, just because now people are going to be like, well, shit, like if, the scalpers are probably still going to try to get PS5s as much as they can when they go up online, and people are going to be forced to, pay the resale price of it. I feel like that this is something that didn't need to be disclosed at all, but it kind of makes sense. There are still COVID restrictions, and I believe these are being made overseas in Japan. I could be ignorant here, but I'm pretty sure with how the COVID vaccine works, the Asian countries are not really getting it until next year, which is kind of weird or something like that. Obviously, all I'm saying here is like sort of things that I have heard about, and I'm sort of just like speculating or whatever. But it kind of is worrying for the console that people are still not going to be able to get these in their hands in stores, see them on the shelf. They're pretty much going to be sold online only, online pickup, and really it's going to be a while until, people can, walk into a store and just buy a PS5. But I think that is to be expected because, like we said earlier with the last news, this is definitely the hottest console of this generation, and literally everyone wants a PS5 right now.
yeah, probably because it feels the most next gen, and also like again, there's exclusives actually coming out for the thing.
Mm-hmm.
We already, Returnal already came out, Ratchet's coming out, and Horizon is probably going to come out this year as well. So it just seems more appealing than an Xbox right now. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the Series X doesn't really have a lot. It's still selling well. Don't get me wrong, because I still,
Mm-hmm.
you still can't find an Xbox very easily, just like a PS5. But the PS5 is definitely the thing that more people are talking about when they want like what current gen or I guess next gen console they want more. So yeah, it kind of sucks that Sony straight up just said, yeah, there won't be any PS5s for a while. And hopefully Sony takes that into account when they're selling exclusives, right? Because obviously these games aren't going to sell as much as if they were on PS4, obviously, because not as many people have a PS5, and those PS5 owners have to be interested in that exclusive game to like buy it, So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they can take that into account when doing the exclusive sales and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely something that's really bad to hear. Both me and Travis are very lucky to have a PS5 right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that have been trying really hard to get one ever since it like first came out, and we're just no luck. Scalpers obviously are a thing to blame, but it's just COVID in general. Like again, like you said, they're just not being able to produce as many consoles as they were like. So it's just very unfortunate timing, honestly. I don't know if it would have been better to just delay the next gen till next year. But they probably were already like, well, we gotta release these games, and like we already have everything already working, so you might as well just release it,
Mm-hmm.
even though it's in like a shorter like I guess like development thing. But Yeah, it's definitely like really saddening to hear for anyone that wants a PS5 right now, especially when like big games are coming out for it. Like again, if I didn't have a PS5 by the time Ratchet and Clank came out, oof, I didn't know what I would do, man. I would have been very sad.
David would have been like, all right, on eBay, all right, which one? Which one? Which one
Yeah,
am I buying?
I probably would, I honestly probably would have sold my soul for it. I mean, like $1,000. All right,
Yeah,
I mean,
shit.
you know.
$1,000, I can pay that off eventually, But yeah, it definitely, like, this is information that Sony did not need to disclose whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky enough to get two PS5s. I didn't sell it. I didn't resell it for more than what I paid for. I literally sold it to my neighbor and he just paid me what I paid for. And the reason why I had two was because the first one I bought was from Walmart and they didn't send me an email confirmation that I got it. So I was like, well, shit, I don't know if I actually got it. So then I went to Target and they sent me a email confirmation. I was like, all right, I'm guaranteed at least one. I obviously paid for both. And then, he just paid me for the other one. But if that didn't happen, I would have asked other people around within my friend group, hey, do you need a PS5? I'll sell it to you for the exact price that I paid for. I wouldn't have tried to like resell it. That obviously would have been the last option to do. But, I definitely would have taken steps at first to sell this to someone that I knew first for what I paid for. Because, reselling for a console, like obviously like the profit margin's fucking insane. But there are some like, I guess, ethical things that like I keep in mind for when it comes to like reselling certain things, which we'll get into more later with the Pokemon card fiasco thing. But yeah, it is definitely concerning that the PS5 will not have a plentiful supply anytime soon, just because the demand is so goddamn high. But I'm sure Sony, they probably saw this coming to a certain extent, but, with whole COVID thing going on and, it's sort of winding down in the States here, but I'm not sure how it's doing overseas. So hopefully by, when we're, within neck deep within this console generation, we actually have like a decent supply so people can actually go into stores and actually purchase it without having to worry about, a shortage.
Yeah, the only good thing is, by the time these people do get a PS5, there are going to be a bunch of good games. So I guess you can look at it that way.
Yeah, there will be a slew of titles that you'll probably be able to pick and choose from, probably from every popular genre that you can think of. So,
yeah, so that's basically the only good news. All right, so.